Good evening, welcome to the committee session of D7. Anyone in the audience needs to amplify headphones, please raise your hand. I'll let you touch to you. Okay, that's all right for the pledge, please. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Donna, can you do a roll call, please?
I will. Councilmember Blush.
Here.
Councilmember Sherman.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Marinesco.
Here.
Councilmember Stearns. Councilmember Gilmore.
Here. Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Does the council have any late changes to the agenda? City manager?
One change, Mr. Mayor, item 4 on business agenda.
Yes.
I'm proposing to remove the use agreement with Mason County Historical Society. The Historical Society has decided not to apply for the grant that would require an extension of the lease. The lease currently in effect runs to the end of 2026. There's no need to extend at this point, but we'll continue having discussions with the Historical Society and bring that back to you at a later date.
All right, thank you.
Any members have any board reports to share? Nope, moving on. Everyone review the item of the agenda? Yes. Got a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda and publish.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Tonight we have presentation, several presentations this evening. Our first is Parks and Recreation Supervisor Jordan Crumples with information about a recent Eagle Scout project.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Tonight, I have with me Russell Lees. He's with Eagles Scout Troop 9112. Russell, how long have you been in the program?
Ever since I was a Bear Scout.
Okay. Long time. But the Eagle Scout is the highest level of achievement within the Boy Scout of America program. It's one of the, and this project that he did was one of the requirements to get that official completion done. What Russell did, he built a picnic table for one of our parks, Overlook Park. Took him about 3 days to build. He had about 8 people helping him with the project. So it's now up there right now. He did the installation for it too. It's chained into the ground so no one can pick it up and move it anywhere. So, on behalf of this project, we would like to give him a certificate of achievement. And give him a big thanks and that hopefully with this project and moving forward, he completes his Scouts certification and become an official Eagle Scout. And if I'm missing anything, Russell, would you like to add anything? No? Any questions from the council?
Any questions or comments?
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
Awesome, yeah, and that'll be part of our town, and every time it goes by, that's a little piece of you in our town. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's right down the bottom on the flat area, so not at the top where the benches are, but down below. You can go down, have lunch and chit chat and it's great. Addition to our park.
When were you a Bear Scout? Like what age?
Oh, I think I was 9,
And you're how old?
17.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big achievement.
Thank you very much for your hard work. And that team.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Russell.
Right, now we're going to swear in 2 limited commission officers. We are going to start with Will Gaines. Okay. Will, there he is.
Sorry.
One back.
Ready? Absolutely. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, William Gale,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and will abide by the policies and laws of the city of Shelton,
and will abide by the policies and
laws,
laws of the city of Shelton.
and I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of code enforcement officer for the city of Shelton.
discharge my duties as code enforcement officer of Shelton.
But they also will have been in the position for how long? July.
Remind
This
me,
July,
yeah.
and he's done an absolutely wonderful job. He's really boots to the ground, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
He's out there every day, you know, working on a lot of issues that we have. He's really doing a great job. And I get compliments all the time from people, citizens out in the city. I actually even got a gift card that I gave to Will for coffee for his order. But thank you, Will.
Thank you, sir.
All right, got one more. I should have just grabbed it from the table. Levi. Why did you?
Dangerous back there.
Let's take you. All right, ready? All right, you ready for a hand, repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Levi Bishop,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and I will abide by the policies and laws of the city of Shelton,
and I will abide by the policies and laws of the city of Shelton,
and I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the animal control officer for the city of Shelton.
discharge the
The
duties of
animal control officer
animal control officer
for the city of
for
Shelton.
the city of Shelton.
All right.
Thank you.
Levi is also those for short time, and she's been doing a great job as well, getting those dogs adopted. So we had up to 13 dogs, I believe, I heard today we were down to 5. So good job. All right. Next on our agenda is a proclamation for the National Public Works Week. Get some volunteers, I will read that. Nancy Bowlby applied for all. May 19th, 2025, 2024, May 19th to the 20th, excuse me, 2024. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure facilities and service that are vital, important, and sustainable for resilient communities and the public health and quality of life and well-being of the people of Shelton. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, employees at all levels of government. And the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste system, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is a public interest for citizens, civic leaders, and children in Shelton to gain knowledge and retain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works, first responders, and public work programs in respective communities. And whereas the year 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I, Mayor Onisco, do hereby designate the week of May 19th to the 25th, 2024 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association, the government agencies and activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protect our national health, safety, and our quality of life. And I'm just ending this tonight after the meeting. Thank you, guys. Public Works Director here, do you like to say anything? Let's put him on the spot there.
So what, half hour?
Right.
So, Public Works Week, I got a couple things programmed. We have, a canned food drive, like a collection drive up at, Winco. And then the other one is right down here at 7th and Franklin. I don't think the location's changed.
Fred Meyer.
Fred Meyer, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Fred Meyer, yeah.
Shelton, yeah.
No, it's Walmart. It's
Okay, there
Walmart.
you go.
It's at Walmart. It was gonna be at Freddy's, but it's at Walmart. So Walmart and right down here, that's next week, have a coloring contest. That we have put together some cool little things for the grade schoolers, like little packets. And then we're gonna have a panel probably judge, and maybe it's you guys. And then we have some gift cards and that sort of thing that we're gonna give out to the grade schoolers. And then we're also want to get tours of like the wastewater plant for the junior high school and elementary school kids. And so that's sort of a standing invite to anybody in the community or that's associated with kids and classrooms and all that. Is to get a public works tour. You'd be surprised in the background of what's going on, especially at the treatment factories. That we're doing a lot of things there. And we actually, like our membrane treatment plant up by Sanderson Field, it's cutting edge sewer treatment type of things that we're actually going to replace the filters in a few years and do some other things. But we're recharging the Goldsboro Creek Aquifer and doing all sorts of cool things up there. So call me or call Mark or somebody if you want to schedule a tour. I'm going out about every month with a van. And so if it's individuals or couples or a grade school class or whatever you got going on, take us up on that because it's good to see what we're doing for your community here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, and thank all your staff for their hard work. I know sometimes getting some of these projects done with limited funds isn't always easy, and most of the time we have to rely on state or federal grants, mostly state, and to get some of the stuff done. And it's like multi-year, we get a grant, and then next year we get a different grant, and kind of save up the money, and then boom, we pull the trigger on that project. And you know, you guys were really hard on getting that stuff done. Appreciate it. Any comments or questions from this council?
Just wanted to say over the past 10 years since I've been living here in Shelton, taking a walk downtown is a lot easier and a lot more visible, and I feel a lot more safe walking through downtown because of the public works. And thanks for providing the water.
Right, next, we have a Chief Police Cost Status, the presentation of the Police Department annual report.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for allowing me to present this to you tonight. This may be a lot of information you've heard before here and there, so I'll try not to go in too deep into some of the topics, because I know you probably have a good understanding on some of these things, but I will touch on some of the standouts here in our annual report. First and foremost, this annual report was mostly put together by Sarah Childers, who's our record supervisor. She does her due diligence every year and putting one of these together. It takes quite a while, so I appreciate all her help with this. Last year for the Shelton Police Department, it was a time of success and change for us. One of our huge successes for 2023 was our reaccreditation with WASPIC. That was a grueling, painstaking task to get done, and it took it goes back approximately 4 years. And so gathering all these records and everything and putting them together, it was really a task. And I just want to commend all of my staff to their adherence to our policies and procedures, best practices. So I just want to do a shout out again that we have our accreditation for another 4 years, and we're re-accrediting in 2028. Last year in November, we saw Chief Carol Beeson retire. She did just under 3 years with the Shelton Police Department. Prior to that, we had Chief Darren Moody, who's our chief for approximately 6 years. And I just wanted to let you know that they did an amazing job in succession planning for the department. This started way back in 2014 when Rudy came on board and started preparing us, not just me, but other individuals within the department to possibly take over in the future and run the department. And they gave us the training and the work experience, and I'm very grateful to both of them for giving me the tools to be able to to carry on and lead the department. And let's see here, let's go on to the next page here. Okay, so quick on patrol statistics for 2023. We had 13,212 calls for service last year. That is about 1,200 more than we had in 2022. And that is in 2022, we saw an increase of almost 1,000 calls as well. So I want to reiterate, just because the call volume is going up doesn't mean that crime is going up. It means that more people are reporting crimes, and they're calling us and letting us know. And that's one of my messages out there, is to make sure that the community lets us know when something is occurring out there, because if we're not told, we don't know. So these numbers could mean a lot of things, but our statistics are fairly on par for the last few years. So I believe that this influx of calls is more due to people's awareness and wanting to reach out and tell us what the issues are in the community. And also, I'd like to add that we are still, during 2023, we maintained about 16 sworn officers. That's including the administration level. So we're handling more calls with about the same amount of individuals out there on the street. But I anticipate in the next year or so, we may be pretty close to being fully staffed. So we'll see how that works for us. Back in February last year, we had a domestic violence assault shooting that occurred on the south side of town. Officer Whitley responded to that call. He and I saw the body cam of this situation. It was somewhat intense due to limited information. Have an injured person on the ground with multiple gunshot wounds. You hear gunshots going off in the background. We didn't necessarily know where this incident took place yet, so we're still trying to figure out. As we're securing perimeters, looking around for possible suspects or other injured persons. Officer Whitley attended to our injured, and with his efforts, he helped in saving that person's life. And you're probably going to hear from me later on in the year and on this topic specifically a little bit more. Also want to mention, back in 2023, December, Officer Portillo located a subject who had overdosed and he was unresponsive, and he administered Narcan, and he did other life-saving efforts until medics arrived. I want to point out that this isn't the only overdose that we responded to last year. We've responded to a lot, and I can say we've probably administered Narcan somewhere between 5 and 10 times this last year. I'm still working on those numbers because I don't have them, but this is a fairly common thing right now where we're administering Narcan, and sometimes it's not even one dose. Sometimes it takes 2 doses for us to knock these people back into reality. So thank you, Dan. Let's see here. Traffic accident statistics for last year, they're fairly on par for the last 2 years. One thing I want to mention is with our fatalities. We had 3 last year. We also had 3 prior. All 3 of these fatalities were non-DUI or drug related, which is actually surprising to me. I think that might have a relation there, but these were all due to inattention while driving, and one of them was referred to the Mason County Prosecutor's Office for charging, so they're still looking at that case. Traffic citations pretty much on par with last year. Fractions are a little bit up. Revenue for the city citations 64,000. Detectives cases last year. We run 2 detectives. We ran 321 cases last year. We had quite a few events last year. One was an embezzlement case. It was over $500,000. We had to actually have a forensic auditor come in and look at that case and help us put that together. So that was a very extensive case. Also, our Detective Gettle is a member of ICAC, which is Internet Crimes Against Children. That's a new program we started this last year. It's headed up by Seattle PD. And the ICAC really gives us a lot of, technology, when we're, trying to put cases together that occur over computers involving, children. So we had a substantial case come out of, Vancouver. This subject was, messaging, a female up in Shelton, and then eventually came up, sexually assaulted her. And then they put it all together, and he is now, I think, yeah, he pled guilty, so he's gonna be serving 10 years in prison. Last year we had 3 homicides within the city. It's been an increase, well, in 2022, it was the same, we had 3, prior to that, we had 1, prior to that, we had goose eggs for multiple years. So we do see an increase in that. All of our homicides involve gunfire. One occurred on Cedar, that was our last one. We had 3 people in custody over that particular homicide. 2 are still awaiting trial, and 1 has pled guilty. But that one, I believe, most people know that they were in the newspaper. It was highly involved. It turned into a manhunt. We had multiple agencies assist us, including Mason County, U.S. Marshals, FBI, Vancouver PD. So it was all hands on board on that one to locate the subject. So I appreciate everyone's help on that. The 2 other homicides that we have, one I believe was on Jefferson Street, the other one was up on Capitol Hill. Those are both gang, possibly narcotics related as well. Those are still open cases and trying to figure those ones out. And by the way, if there's any questions as I go, feel free to jump in. Let's see here. Our 2 canines, there's a picture of them, Lex and Valor. They had 25 deployments this last year, 11 apprehensions. When I want to say apprehensions, that doesn't mean bites necessarily. That means they found the person they're looking for, and maybe that person gave up or something like that. So then there's a list of different deployments that were involved in DV assaults, warrants, and so forth. We did receive a vest for, I believe it was the Valor, and from the vested interest canine. So it's a stab, and I believe here's a picture of them right there with that vest. So it's a stab proof, bullet resistant vest for him. So that was a great donation this year by them. All right, recruitment this year, we hired 3 new police officers. Our first hire was Officer Blaylock, and he's no stranger to Shelton Police Department. He was in our Reserve Academy back in 2010, reserved for us for quite a few years. He went on and worked for the Squaxin Island Tribal Police. And then he finally looped around and came back, and we hired him as a lateral. And he was such a great hire because he already knew Shelton PD. He, when he worked for Squaxin, he would always come and help us out. So, and he's just doing tremendous. He's almost off probation now. So really appreciate him coming back to Shelton. And I understand he just loves it here. Also, we have Officer Houston. He was an entry level. He just completed the academy about 3 months ago now. I think that was February 2024. He's just about to finish his field training program here in about another week or so. So he's definitely well and doing a good job. And then Officer Mullins, he just graduated academy about 2 weeks ago. You will actually see him next week for his swearing in. He is just starting his field training program. So he's got about 3 months in front of him of training. And again, our Officer of the Year, as I presented that about a month or 2 ago, Officer Portillo. He's an outstanding officer, or excuse me, Corporal Portillo. He was recommended by his peers and supervisors. He did an excellent job with our homicides, being that they involved the Guatemalan community, and he is Guatemalan, so he's familiar with the customs and culture. So he was integral in those investigations and continues to be so. Promotions this year, we promoted Sergeant Diaz. He started with us back in 2015 in the Reserve Academy. He has since become a canine lead firearms instructor, a field training officer, and he's also an 8-year veteran of the United States Marine Corps. Next, Sergeant or Detective Gettle was promoted this year as well. He's become, I believe he was promoted back in April. He's kind of our go-to guy for crimes against children. He started our ICAC subscription. He's really involved with that. He's working a couple more cases now. He's just doing an outstanding job down there in detectives. Let's see here. Talk quickly about Captain Daniel Patton. We introduced him back when he got promoted. One thing, I don't know if it was conveyed, but he attended the FBI National Academy back last year, and they only have 4 sessions of the National Academy per year, and only 4 officers per state get to go to that academy. So you have to be nominated to go to that, and he was selected. So when he went to his class, he was one of 4 officers that were going to this, and there's only 16 spaces per year for Washington State police officers. So it's a very hard thing to get to, very coveted. That's over 400 hours of training that he received. It includes terrorism management science, communications, forensic science, all sorts of variety of topics. And I think one of the most valuable things that he brought from his 400 hours of training is that he now has contacts not only statewide, but nationwide of law enforcement and throughout the world. This academy is not just for American citizens. He was actually a roommate from, I forget which country it was, but he was a roommate from someone from another country. So he literally has contacts all over the world. Now, would we use these contacts over here and there? Probably not, but I mean, it's great to know that, he has such a wide net right now. He was helping us out last week. We needed something out of, I think it was Texas or something like that. So he's got contacts in Texas. So that was just one of the best things that could come from that. Shop with a cop. Shop with a hero was last year. We had 27 kids participate. I think we invited about 30, but we only had 27 show up. We had a little over $7,000 to contribute to this. So it was a great event. I appreciate everyone who showed up to that. Walmart always supports us. OCCU sends people out to have games and activities for the kids. WSP was out there as well. So just appreciate everyone's support with that. Training last year, we completed over 2,000, as cumulatively 2,875 hours worth of training. We are all mandated as police officers to complete 24 hours of training here by CJTC standards. So that's pretty minute compared to how many hours we're actually picking up there. The average is probably about 100 per officer or so, depending on who it is. Sometimes like when Dan went, or Captain Pat went to police academy, that was like, for the FBI academy, that was like 400 hours. So that kind of skews numbers one way or another. But on average, everyone received about 100 hours worth of training. And we just received our certificate from CJTC saying we're in compliance with our certification for our in-service training mandate for 2023. So that's one of our big steps in accreditation. So we got 2023 done with and we're good to go. Professional standards. Every year we also have a report for professional standards. This includes use of force, bias-based policing, or complaints and pursuits. And this is just, there's another report totally that's available on the city's website if you want to look at this report in its totality. But these are just a few things that come from that. Use of force, since we had 14 use of force incidents last year in 2023, that's down, I believe, by about 19, I think, from last year, and it was closer to 30 the year prior. So we are definitely, our use of force incidents are in decline, and that's due to, de-escalation tactics all the other training that we're putting everyone through, it's starting to pay off, and we're starting to have less incidents out there. About 7 of those use of force incidents included someone who's intoxicated or had mental health issues, so about half. And then let's go down to pursuits. We only had 1 pursuit last year. 2022 had 2, and 2021 had 4. Keeping up with the legislation back in 2021. Pursuits were very limited, and basically we really couldn't pursue for much. Same all the way through 2023. So I imagine that has quite a bit to do with a small amount of pursuits. The 1 pursuit we had, it was discontinued by the officer, and after the officer discontinued, the subject crashed, and then we took custody. I would venture a guess that it probably is in 2024. You might see these numbers go up because as of June 6th of this year, the pursuit laws change again, so they're gonna go retroactive to that where they were prior to 2021, which means we only have to have reasonable suspicion to start changing vehicles, which means it's gonna open us up to a lot more possibilities if we want to engage in pursuit. Obviously, we still have our policies and procedures to dictate when we get those, when we get into those pursuits, and we determine if we want to keep them. So, but I would anticipate that is a possibility. Our DCR, Jim Clark, he's been with us for over a year now. He is just invaluable. He's responded to over 350 crisis events. Last year, that's countywide, because he also helps the county, and he is just he's such a support, a resource for the officers. We're not mental health professionals by any means, so we try our best. We have a lot of hats, but he is the professional, and when he's so great at coming out when we need him, evaluating a person, evaluating somebody, deciding whether they need to go to the hospital, or they need to go somewhere else, or they're not detainable, and he's such a time saver, because once he's there, he makes a decision. He orchestrates the whole thing. We help him out a little bit, then we can get our officers back on the street. So he's worth his weight in gold. Let's see here. Retirements, as I talked, Chief Beeson retired back in November. She did over 28 years in law enforcement. She started out in San Diego Police Department, where she retired as a lieutenant. She was very entwined into being a trainer. She was a 21st century policing trainer, which is it's a leadership training that CDATC holds. It's 120 hours, and so she was an instructor for that. She's also a gold training instructor, which is a similar leadership program. I believe it's about 80 hours. And then also Officer Warren Olson, he was actually here before me. He was the last officer. I'm the dinosaur. He was here when I got here, and then now he left, and now I'm the dinosaur. But anyways, he was an outstanding officer, very beloved by the community. He knew just about everybody around, he had such a great disposition and relationship with the community. So he will be missed. He's off to Spoke right or Squaxin. He works for Squaxin right now. So he is continuing on. And last, records department. I got the 2 fully staffed or full-time records and evidence clerk, Sarah and Sam. As you can see, they process over, every report we go through, they process it, but want to pay attention to how many public records requests that they did last year, 1,100 public records requests. So that's astounding there, between records and evidence and processing, all these reports and the public records requests, they are moving. So I appreciate them so much. They're just doing a fantastic job. And for Sarah to put this together, it's just more amazing. Just some quick stats at the end here. This is our final stats. Everything is pretty much consistent with the last couple of years. I don't see anything that has any major divots or accelerant or anything to it. Here, this is our, as I get this property, still, these are all pretty much on par. No major, differences over the last few years. One thing, Crimes Against Society here, drugs and narcotics, as you can see, 2023, that boosted up a little bit. That's specifically because we have the Blake fix this last year, which actually criminalized narcotics again, so we were able to go back out there and make criminal arrests for possession of narcotics. So that happened towards the latter end of the year, so you can see that there's an uptick in narcotics arrests, and I would anticipate that you guys still see those numbers going up as we progress. See here. These are arrest stats for Group A. These are our murders and felony. Most of them are felony assaults. Except for simple assaults as well. These are again pretty much on par for how we've been going throughout the last 2 years. I don't have any more for you, but I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have some.
Great presentation. Comments or questions?
I was part of the Citizens Academy a few weeks ago, and I
Yes.
was just so impressed by the amount of training, thoroughness, and preparation that you guys put into the work of the profession. And I'm proud to be a city council member in the city of Shelton, overseeing you guys, because you guys are doing a really good job, and I'm really impressed. And I'm gonna say this is a little crazy, but this is the one town where I'll wave with the law enforcement and say hi. And, they'll wave back and feel good about it, and it's not gonna end up in the future, like,
No,
it's like, hi, officer, and it's like,
Yeah.
I feel good that like I walk in the streets, oh, I can go get a cup of coffee and walk the dog, because this is a beautiful town to live in.
Yeah.
And you guys are there. And like then there was an accident on that corner, and then you guys like fended it off and made sure that everything was safe, and it was like, they're just, again, I was thinking how safe we are in this town with you guys here, and with the extra training you guys are doing and the pains you're taking to being certified, and I just am totally in awe of the effort and passion that you guys have to keep it safe. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. They've done a lot of work. And one thing I wanted to mention that I didn't earlier is, last year we only had one complaint. And that's over 13,000 calls. We've never been down to one complaint before. I mean, this is something that obviously went on to, it was a citizen's complaint that we investigated. I'm not saying we don't get complaints once in a while, but those are generally handled at the first level supervision, and they can handle those minimal complaints, but this one rose to the level where we had to investigate. The year prior to that, we had, I believe, 3. So that just goes to show that they are adequately trained and they're being professional out there, and they're doing their job appropriately, and I'm so thankful for that.
Again, thank you and your officers. I know it's not easy being a police officer today, with some of the laws in the state. And pursuit was one of the ones that hindered you, and many more that are being worked on. Blake decision wasn't easy as well. And you guys have done a great job. I think it's with your card you have, the hand you have in the deck of cards. So, great presentation. Anything else? Well, what's next? You can see. All right. You got it. So the Public Works Director, Jay Harris, has another annual report for us.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Jay Harris, your Public Works Director. So we're going from police to pavement, okay? So this is the 2023 annual report for the Transportation Benefit District. We're required by RCW 3673-160 to give a district report every year. So, gave one last year, and this is just a follow-up to that. In 2015, the Transportation Benefit District was created. It's a 0.2% sales tax. And what that does is fund street maintenance and street and sidewalk projects for the city. It's a 10-year sales tax expiring in 2026, so just a couple of years from now, unless it's reauthorized by the voters.
And this was originally authorized by.
Yep. So, we use TDD dollars a lot to leverage a grant money, like Olympic Highway North project coming up. We did that. Did a little bit with Safe Routes to School, Brockdale Road, bunch of the projects you're gonna see in a minute were leveraged, 10-15% of TBD dollars, but then you go grab $1 million in state funds. So it's worked out really good to have this money available so we can knock out some of the bigger projects that need to be done. So on the right there, so if you look at our total revenues, interest earnings are pretty good. Thank you, Mike, for investing it wisely. So $785,000 in revenue on that 0.2% sales tax. We spent just a little more than that, so 8 into fund balance. We got a pretty decent fund balance, 1.5 million, which we're gonna ramp up some more projects in the next couple of years to start taking that balance down a little bit. Because inflation keeps going up, it's not good to hold on to a fund balance unless you have huge projects coming up. So one of the reasons was Olympic Highway North, we secured a very large grant. We're gonna do the project next year, more than we thought we were gonna get. So we were supposed to be eroding that balance, but we did well with that and our contribution on that project. And that they'll be up and coming in council meetings was actually quite small on TBD, so that was a good thing. So some of the projects we completed last year was the Front Street paving project down there. That was a joint project with Mason County. We finally got the Western Gateway project done, which that was the curbs, sidewalks, all that. That was a great project. Brockdale paving project. And then we have a couple of budgeted projects. One is it's called Local Road Safety Plans projects we will be seeing soon, and we're budgeting some money towards that. And then we're sending some money into Olympic Highway North, that project coming up next year, but not as much as we anticipated. So a couple projects that we're doing now and past. So the downtown connector was a big success. So that's going up the hill here. That when you look at the before and afters on that, that was a good project. That was before my time here. Here's a picture of Brockdale, Western Gateway, the Civic Center parking lot. TBD, there's an alley in there, and the abutting cross properties use that. TBD paid for some of the alley paving over there. 13th chip seal. We got a surfacing down on that to protect that pavement for a little while longer. And then the Safe Routes to School project, that's what we're sort of ripping on right now. So that's in front of Evergreen Elementary, right over there by Safeway on 7th and Franklin. And then at the high school entrance, Huff and Puff Crossing. Those are the 3 projects you see here. We just paved around the curb up at the high school yesterday. They were supposed to be doing in front of Evergreen yesterday, but then the rain came in. I don't know if they got to it today, but soon we should be paving at 7th and Franklin and then finishing paving at Evergreen Elementary. That's 9th and Franklin. And then we'll be finishing up at 7th and Franklin soon. So that you'll see those green signs, those are flashing beacons. You go up and hit the button, right? And you still got to make sure that people stop though, right? I mean, even with those, people still don't stop all the time. So it's unfortunate. So 2025, that's Olympic Highway North. We're hanging on to that pavement, doing a lot of potholing there right now with our crews. That's Turner Avenue before. That was some years ago.
That was before my time. That was probably 2018, maybe, something like that.
That's right.
Right in that time range. So you'll see what that same stretch of roadway made a big difference there. There's the Front Street that we did last year. Lake Boulevard is just as bad as Turner, got that done. And then this is the Olympic Highway North project that we're talking about for next year down on the bottom sides there. And then we have a project going on at 8th Railroad Avenue between 8th and 1st. That's still some years out. The water line is the hang up on that one. We hope to get Olympic Highway North done. And then in a couple of years, try to get grant funding for paving downtown here. But we got to save our nickels for the water line to put it in first. Because the water line is asbestos cement and it's aging and we need to get it replaced from the 40s. So these are some of the operations things that we use some of the TBD dollars for. So street sweeping on the upper left there, that's our older sweeper. We also have a newer one. And during leaf season, it's really good to have 2 sweepers. They're both out like all week long. Roadside mowing is really big this time of year, you know, to get the stuff knocked down before it gets super high. That's a safety thing, sight distance at intersections, those sort of things. Snow removal, our snow removal operations here are A1. Between our truck mounted plows and big dump trucks to spread gravel and sand. And we have de-icer we put down, we have salt. And then we have smaller trucks to get into tighter areas with plows on them too. So really good program here. We have signal maintenance here. Unfortunately, our signals are old and a lot of those controllers are aging quickly. They're from the 90s. And so we got a challenge there to replace those and upgrade those. A lot of pothole patching with the condition of our pavement right now. We run like a pavement condition index. The last one we did was somewhere around 65, 68 out of 100. So, you know, that's getting down, you know, in the low C's, D's, right? I'm doing the PCI report update right now with a consultant. I'm going to be sharing that with you folks probably in 2-3 months. And I'm thinking that we're still plummeting because we're not sending enough money out to the streets. But we'll do more to come on that. And that way we can sort of gauge the funding and projects. The PCI report really helps us too, that it tells us where to spend the money. So to maintain pavement is a lot cheaper than grinding and taking it out and replacing it. So the cheapest maintenance measure we have is crack sealing. And so we got to keep on sealing the cracks in the roadway to keep the water from going in. It's like letting your roof leak, right? You don't want the water to go in there because it damages the pavement quickly. Excuse me. So anyways, other things we do a lot of crosswalk painting. That red paint downtown's a little time consuming in the medians. We're gonna get a fresh coat on that this year. We didn't get it done last year. And so they bought a bunch of paint and we got to use it up. One of my goals is to buy a longer lasting paint and try to get a few years out of it because we spend a lot of time on that. Downtown, we're gonna actually do some restriping there, that we're taking out the dots and we're actually just putting in long line stripes. The reason why the dots should come out, so we got a lot of complaints about not doing snow removal downtown, because I can't run the plows down there because it takes those markers up. So it was an okay choice back in the day. They're starting to wear, we're missing some. This would be a good thing. It'll really clean it up down there. We run the Vactor truck a lot, a great machine for doing a lot of different things. We got a new patch truck, should be here in a couple weeks. And then we have a grinding machine and a small box paver and some rollers, and we do small paving projects. So that's the end of the 2023 Transportation Benefit District Report, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, James. Comments or questions? I got a couple small ones. How much is a paving asphalt per mile nowadays? Remember about a year or two ago, it was pretty atrocious. And the pavers was cheaper at that time.
Yeah, it's gone up. I can send you folks some numbers on our current paving costs. And it all depends on the size of the job too, right? And then exactly what type of paving. So, like Rockdale was a pure overlay. That cost compared to the chip seal we did on 13th, you know, are two different things. So I'll send you guys out some numbers of sort of where we're at right now per mile. And then the county, if we're just buying the asphalt and they're coming in with their machines and people and we pay them their equipment rates, we're a little better off on that. We typically are doing smaller projects with them on that. And we're hiring out and contracting out the bigger projects. But I'll get you some numbers on that.
It was just leading into the next question. So without the transportation benefit district, which is gonna be going in 2 years, how many of these projects could we have done if we never had one to begin with?
They would all be gone. And then as likely, we're probably laying off a couple street workers. And we'll probably just be down to roadside mowing and patching potholes at that point. So we won't be doing any proactive pavement repairs.
Much more reactive than proactive. I mean, we'd have to weigh, you know, how street maintenance is performed and street projects are performed with other general fund priorities, including public safety, that we fund out of that and of those operations. So those are decisions that are made through the annual budget formulation and adoption by the council.
That was just kind of a hint. This is coming back in a couple of years that, you know, we want to probably renew this program. This is, without this transportation benefit district, we'd be using our general fund money to do some of this stuff, and basically that's police and fire and.
Yeah, in 2024, the transportation benefit district is supplementing the street fund by $400,000. So that certainly is real-time funds that are contributed to the street fund from the TBD.
This is 2 cents in the dollar.
And if we aim for a higher index, then we probably have to throw more money into something, so.
We'll have those numbers to consider and to see how we're doing with the program. Right now, we are focusing on grant dollars and getting the large projects done on the collectors and the major roads that we're using in the city. And we're keeping up on the local streets, but we're trying to get the major projects behind us, so then we can get out and get the local streets done. Todd Rhodes, our street superintendent, his goal is to have all roads paved by the time he retires in the next 8 years or something, because we got a lot of gravel roads out there to do. And it's a great aspiration. I love when employees say things like that. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Again, another great presentation. Transportation benefit district was put on the ballot by the last commission before the council. It's been well used. You can see the difference in town. There's Front Street alone was there's missing cars probably still underneath that pavement down there on Front Street. If you lost your car, it might be there under the new road. So it's worked pretty well. And like I said, it's 2 cents on the dollar, and it's going to be coming back to us in a couple of years. Hopefully that we can, you know, restore it. So we keep doing these projects because we have a lot more roads to do. I mean, there's probably 10 gravel roads still in the city that would probably benefit from this transportation benefit district. We start getting through that big projects done.
April 2026 is the expiration date, so that's certainly a discussion as we formulate the 2025 budget, is in what direction we go, because you certainly have to plan accordingly if you don't want a gap in that revenue source.
Just the impact on railroad alone, when a person walked down railroad, you are so much more visible that people will actually stop for you and let you cross. So that's something I've noticed over the past few years with the TBD, that there are real impacts when you go take a walk out, get out of your car and actually take a walk. So there are more than just road benefits.
All right, well, thank you, Jay. And again, our first business item is resolution for grant acceptance. Public Works Director Jay Harris.
Good evening, Council. Jay again. This is for the wastewater treatment plant. It's a backup disinfection grant acceptance. And then combined in the same resolution is to approve parametrics to use those dollars to design this project. So we have at the main wastewater treatment plant, we have a slack tide tank. And what happens is we can take the treated effluent from the plant and we hold it there while the tide's out. Because if you release it, there's a lot of water to mix it and discharge it and all that. So we hold it for a while and then release it. We put some electronic controls on that this last year. And we worked with the state to take, we currently have a UV disinfection system. And if that system had issues, if we have off-spec water, we could send it over to the slack tide tank and then pump it back through the plant and sort of recirculate for a few hours until we can get the UV back online again. One of our consulting engineers, Grant Osborne, came up with the idea to put disinfection in there. So if the UV sterilization went offline, we flip this other system online in the slack tide tank and just keep releasing the water. The benefits of that is it takes the risk of substandard discharges going to Oakland Bay, and with a potential goal of maybe opening up some more shellfish harvesting areas. That would be the state's determination, not ours. But the design of this project will go a long ways to getting that put in place, and then we still have to construct it. So the award from the National Estuary Program was $143,687, and that the design cost from parametrics is $159,264. So the city's gonna have to put a small amount of money from the sewer, about $16,000 from the sewer fund, into parametrics to complete this backup disinfection design. With that, we'll have full plans ready to go, bid documents, and we'll have a good cost estimate too. Then we'll be going out for grant funding for the project, and a project like this rates real high for grants with the state. So I think we'll do pretty well. The construction cost for that's estimated at about $1 million. That's the end of the staff report.
Okay, anyone have a public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move to place resolution number 1328-0324 on the council's action agenda for further consideration on council's May 21st meeting.
Second.
Comments or questions? So this is some more redundancy. We have redundancy with UV lights, as we did that a couple years ago. So now if we were to have like a catastrophic problem over at that plant, we'd moving it around and kind of holding it somewhere.
Hold it, and then right now we can hold it, pump it back up through the plant. That opened up some shellfish areas, just doing that. The goal is to be able, if the UV lights go offline, we have a backup disinfection system that is chemical based. It could be hypochlorite. There's other products out there too, and hypochlorite is a bleach solution. And anyways, to treat the water so we can keep releasing it while we fix the UV sterilization system, get it back, because that is our primary system, to get it back online again. But we won't interrupt our outlet water, and it'll just make us much more resilient at the main wastewater plant.
Because of our due diligence already, we already have opened up more shellfish because of the city of Shelton has done such hard work and won award year after year for our plant and discharge. So and this is even going to be opening more shellfish area potentially. I don't ever say, guarantee anything, but
It could be an end result, absolutely.
we've all heard horror stories about Seattle pumping sewer out in the bay, but we don't do that until it's perfectly drinkable or almost drinkable. We've had a city manager that actually drank it. We haven't talked Mark into it yet, but.
Since I've been here, we've met all permits at the plant and exceeded them. And some of that is proactive maintenance, so too, right? that we need to keep replacing pumps. We just got done with putting a bunch of new UV lights in, and keep rotating old parts out and keeping them fresh there. Because the failure will happen. We have redundant systems, but if you have a system that's older and you have another system that's older, you get a part failure and you're trying to fix it and then something else breaks, is when you typically have the discharge. So it's important to keep investing in this facility.
And we have a brand new computer system as well, right? That employee doesn't need to be there 24 hours a day anymore. They can
Data system,
do this
yeah.
from home or something.
Their phone rings in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
and they gotta log in and figure out what's going on.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Always in favor of water quality and water quantities. Keep bringing it.
We have a motion and a second to place resolution number 1328-0324 onto the council action agenda for further consideration at the May 21st meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And Jay, you're up again.
So, council, this is up at the satellite treatment plant this time, okay? And anyways, we're building a 500,000 gallon reclaimed water tank. We got grant funding to do that. In the design of the tank, we're almost done with it. We were using a 2005 wetland delineation that we'd previously done when we went and built the factory up there by Sanderson Field. That delineation needs to be updated. And so what this resolution does is authorizes Gray and Osborne to do a scope amendment and amendment number 3, and it's gonna run about $12,000 to delineate the wetland. And then there's setbacks, there's like a 200-foot buffer to the wetland. You gotta come up with new maps and that sort of thing. And we just want to make sure that our new reclaimed water tank isn't in a buffer area. Anyways, so that's what that is. It's a scope amendment to add this in. Right now, we have enough in the project right now. So, but we didn't have, it wasn't budgeted by council through the original resolutions. So all you're doing a budget amendment. We're spending more money out of the project fund. But there'll be more to come when we come and get it to bid. And the next step is coming back to you with a recommendation for a contractor to build that. And we're expecting that'll be sometime in August, September, maybe, to get this thing out to bid and get those results back to you guys.
Okay, Don, any other public comment
No, there isn't, Mr. Mayor.
or good motion?
Mr. Mayor, move to place resolution number 1331-0424 on the action agenda for the May 21st council meeting.
Thank you. Comments or questions? So can you just let the public know what the reclaimed water is and how it's used?
Yeah, so right now, the reclaimed water vault is about 30,000 gallons. And we want to upgrade that to 500,000 gallons. And right now, we send the reclaimed water to the prison and State Patrol. State Patrol uses the water to flood their track for training, wet weather training. I don't know, Chief, if you've driven a car up there or not, but you have not. It's a good experience. But we actually sell them a lot of water up there. And then the prison uses it in their laundry systems. The problem is the 30,000 gallon tank isn't enough. And so we need the 500,000 gallon tank, because when you want to do laundry, you want water, right? So like the prison is supplementing with their wells because we don't have enough reclaimed water on hand for them, because the plant doesn't, there's not that much water going to it. So we're going to treat it, we're going to store it, and then whatever isn't being used, we're going to send out to this, it's spray field. So the reclaimed water, if it's not being reused, because at the prison, it comes back to us again, right? We treat it and then send it back to them, reclaim water, and they don't have to draw out of their well, and their well is right near Goldsboro Creek, which is taking water away from obviously fish and the summertime flows and that sort of thing. So the water that isn't used though, we'll still put out into the spray field. The spray field does flow to Goldsboro Creek through the ground. It takes about 6 months to get there, and the hydraulic analysis they did, which is, sounds like a long period of time, it's not that far away. But anyway, studies were done, and it takes a while to get to Goldsboro, but we're trying to increase the summertime base flows at Goldsboro Creek for fish habitat. And so this tank will give us another tool to do that. We need to treat more wastewater up there, though, is the main problem. We have just a few customers, and so the northerly diversion station, which is gonna go in at the top of the hill here, at A Street and Olympic Highway, is gonna take, when it's completed, it's about a $10 million project, take that whole basin of water up to the membrane plant. That will allow us to put a lot more water in back into Goldsboro Creek.
I think I was trying to get at what it was. So basically, it's treated sewage water that would normally go out in the bay. We're bringing it, we're keeping it, the prison's using it, well, State Patrol's using it,
Yep.
and
I believe,
Tractor Supply has
Supply
some irrigation on it too, but you want to keep reusing the wastewater for multiple purposes. And then recharge the ground that you, because our wells, take it out of the ground, we put it back there again after we use it a couple times, right?
we certainly hope it's an economic development driver as well. When you're talking about Sanderson Field and the industrial properties that are available up there, they're right for future industrial development, industrial processes typically use water for cooling, depending on what the process is. And reclaimed water is a lot cheaper than potable water to do that. So,
and we're not using the potable water taken out of
You
our
got taken out of our
aquifers or
aquifer.
flood and tract.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
using, yeah.
So with the expansion there, hopefully that further draws some investment in our community that would add jobs, needed jobs.
And I imagine our tribe is probably likes this as well, sir.
So you're telling us we could have development and use reclaimed water and not use our wells? Sounds like a good idea.
Any other comments or questions? Right, where are we? We have a motion and a second to place resolution number 1331-0424 on the action agenda for May 21st council meeting for consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, City Manager Mark Ziegler has information for us about a protocol manual and just procedure. Cool. I always have a hard time with that, especially at night.
Share screen. Mike, where did we share? Oh, is it in the, sorry, right there. Is that it? Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Yep. Sorry. Our finance director / IT director is being called in. Oh. Yep. Perfect, sir. All right, sorry for the delay, Mayor, Council. So back on March 25th, council met in a retreat. We discussed several strategic measures, as well as went through some important training on Open Public Meeting Act and Public Records Act. Amongst the topics that we discussed was the council protocol manual. This is a kind of a living document that should be reviewed by council on a periodic basis to see if there's any needed changes based on changing conditions, best practices, council's goals and objectives. So we went through that document and noted some changes that I have in front of you today. I'm going to have them on the screen because several of these changes, although some are just grammatical changes and really aren't substantive changes to policy or protocol, some certainly affect how the council meetings are run. So we want to make sure that the public sees these proposed changes in front of you tonight. And then got ahead of it. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, is it not in there, Mike? That's just the briefing. Oh, hang on. I'll get it here. I thought I had it. Exactly. Yes, I did. Oh,
Are we sharing?
yes, please. Oh, we're not sharing, no. Thank you. No, that's the briefing. Oh, we're back to where we were. There we go. Hey, look at that. Again. Okay. Now it's on the screen. So we'll start with page 6. This is the oath of office for council members. The oath of office was not accurate from what we were using previously. So we just made some changes there. Mike, I don't think this is the track changes. No. No, let me get the track changes so it's more clear. 1 second.
So we have a commercial, we said commercial on everybody.
It's when you dance.
No pressure, Mark, no pressure.
It's not in the website packet. Okay. That's right. We're in 20, that's fine. Business. All right. Come on, 3rd time's a charm, right? I'm gonna check it before I put it up on the screen, so. Hey, all right. Look at that. That didn't take long.
We rewrote the thing.
So again, yeah, so the red shows deleted portions, the blue are additions or changes that are to be added, or proposed to be added. Again, this meets the oath that you, 3 of you new council members took at the beginning of this year.
I don't have the changes in my draft like that.
No, you just.
Yeah, exactly. You were looking in the packet that's on there, so.
Yes. Okay.
He's showing you the.
There's changes in your packet if you go to,
Okay. That's okay.
and we can circle back around to this. I'll go to page 17. Again, this is some of the grammatical changes. We just changed from City Hall to Civic Center to be more accurate with the building that we're actually using and the name of the building itself. Mail and deliveries, the council didn't pick up mail located interest at City Hall. I know it might seem consequential, but since we're changing this and want to be accurate, as accurate as possible, we changed that to represent that the mailboxes are located upstairs. 22. Proclamations. So you'll see the paragraph under proclamations up here in black. That was the extent of the proclamation description or descriptor in the protocol manual. Did a little bit of research with other communities on how they handle this procedure and wanted to maybe make it more succinct on how the public would propose proclamations to come to council. So this outlines that procedure, whereas the person or the organization will make the request. There should be a Shelton community member or Shelton community member. The request should be made at least 4 weeks in advance, so we have time to vet that, get it to the council through our normal processes. The organization representative shall be in attendance to accept the proclamation at the meeting. The city retains the right to modify, edit, or otherwise amend the proposed proclamation. City retains the right to decide if the proclamation will be issued or not at that point. The person making the request must submit a completed application. So we've got a draft application form upon the council's approval of the protocol manual. We make that application available on the city's website. So it's fairly basic, right? Contact information, the intent of the proclamation, and attaching the proclamation to it, but it gives us a paper trail and a way to kind of track how that proclamation is coming into the city and being proposed for the council to accept. The agenda planning committee would determine the proposed proclamation meets city policy, and the proclamation will be added to the council looking ahead agenda, so you see it well in advance, as well as the public. And if it's not approved, the act will be notified of the decision and the reason for that decision at that time. So I think that rather than waiting to the end, we can take any questions or ask for clarification as we move through this, just so it's kind of fresh. If you have anything at the time that I cover the topic, please feel free to interject. Okay, I'll move to page 28. This is in reference to remote attendance. I think this was written at a time when we didn't have Zoom and team meetings as we do now. And we're fully vetting these remote platforms when COVID struck. So again, we talked about this a little bit. It allows for remote attendance via electronic communication. And the only thing we changed here is that any voting would be conducted by roll call vote on video. So if a council member was on vacation or couldn't otherwise attend a meeting, that anything that they're voting on, it wouldn't necessarily have to be on video, but anything they're voting on would be on video, and it'd be a roll call vote. So it's clear that those votes are being taken and who's voting in favor or against. Again, just a clarification on how to proceed there. Page 29, again, another grammatical change, just changing City Hall to Civic Center. Page 31. We've had a 3-touch rule here for some time. I might be the only one that was around at the time when it was developed by an interim city manager, city administrator named Stan McNutt. I think the intent of the 3-touch rule is really important because it allows for appropriate notice to the council, appropriate notice to the public, and then the process by which you are making decisions and voting on topics to come before you. The issue that it brings sometimes is when we're dealing with simple processes, much like the purchase of a police vehicle that you see on your action agenda tonight. It could take about 6 weeks, could be 8 weeks to get through that process when that vehicle is budgeted in the 2024 budget. Sometimes we have short windows to purchase these items. The state bids open up at a short window. We get late notification, and to get that through council in a timely manner can take some time. We could miss that window. So I have changed the proposed changes to the 3-touch rule or policy and procedure to a council agenda and briefing reports policy that outlines the consent agenda and when what kind of topics and documents might come through the council through the normal process, which is business and action agenda, and then which could be seen on the consent agenda, which is down here on page. Let's see, I think on page 33 coming up again. So I've got a draft of policy 100-10, which is the council agenda and briefing reports in your packet here as well. Again, just some grammatical errors in there that we changed. And then page 32, general public comment. General public comment currently resides after admin reports at the end of the meeting. We've talked about this a couple of times, and the proposal is to add general public comment up after council's reports before the consent agenda in council meetings at the time of adoption of this protocol manual. Essentially, the description process for general public comment wouldn't change. It's just changing the time it takes place within the meeting from later in the meeting to earlier. Sorry, I'll slow down so you can see the edits. Again, there's no edits. It's just, this is green. It means I cut it from later in the agenda and moved it up to a different place within the agenda. Good to move on?
Okay.
Okay. Page 33. Again, this clarifies the consent agenda. So in the past, the language was treasurer's report, approval of vouchers, setting dates for public hearings, acknowledgement of receipts of claims against the city, minutes of council meetings. Those are all included in the consent agenda. You'll see tonight we had some voucher approvals and minutes were what made up the consent agenda. At this point, we're proposing some additions of typical topics that would be added to the consent agenda. Procurement of equipment, supplies, and materials authorized in the annual budget. So those were already approved within signing authority of the city manager or department heads, which is $30,000 or less. Those would be approved already. Grant acceptance that the council has previously authorized by application. So at times, a grant application has to come to the council for approval. We apply for that grant. And again, the old 3-touch rule, to make the money real, we were coming back to the council briefing and action potentially over a 6-week period when we could potentially just go to consent agenda, make the money real, move forward with the project. So it's an efficiency measure on our part. That's what we're proposing. Then any items on the consent agenda may be moved to the action agenda upon the request of a council member for their consideration. So that still allows a council member to ask staff to move this to the action agenda, further brief the council on the topic and allow for public comment on the topic at that time too.
So are some of these items still under business or we're skipping business?
No, so they potentially, so we could go different ways because the policy sets up where they could go straight to the consent agenda, or we could go to business and then to the consent agenda. So you have a briefing. What we would do per the policy 100-10 is you would have the same briefing and the same backup documents for the consent agenda as you would for the current business agenda or action agenda. So you have all of that backup information included in the consent agenda. It just wouldn't be presented specifically in the council meeting. Again, open to
How that works?
open suggestions. When we do, when we set the agendas and when you have the looking ahead agenda, the consent agenda, the looking ahead agenda, the consent agenda, I've got many agendas I'm talking about here. The consent agenda is listed within the looking ahead agenda. If council receives that in advance and says, this is a subject matter that I would like to see in the business agenda or action agenda specifically, we can take that to that business or action agenda. Again, more agendas for future consideration. Under business agenda. Got it. There we go. Under business agenda, public comment would be eliminated at that point, would be allowed during general public comment and the action agenda items. Again, we typically don't get a whole lot of comment on the business agenda. Business agenda items are moved to the action agenda at the next meeting. That's where we get public comment typically. And then there's always the opportunity to comment before the business agenda with the new lineup, if you will, of the general public comment being held prior to before the business agenda at each meeting.
So there wouldn't be a business item that would go to the consent and then public would have no way of talking about it. But kids, they heard something.
Yeah.
Under business that they had concerns about, they've already spoke, we moved it up to the top.
Yeah,
So-
you could speak to it before, and then you'd speak to it at the action agenda as well.
With the following two.
Yep, absolutely. Is that clear enough? Page 44. Scoot down here. trying to make everybody dizzy by looking at the screen. The recent resignation of Councilmember Schmidt brought this to light. We didn't really intend to make any changes here, but as we looked at the update for leaving office procedure, filling council vacancies, realized that there's probably some antiquated, information here. First is when somebody leaves office, you don't have a mailbox key. Let's address that. Just take that out of there again. It's radical cleanup. Providing identifications, put in unused business cards. I don't know if that's, probably throwing them in the garbage on your way out anyway, but just further clarifying what would be required to be returned to the city upon exit from office, and then filling the council vacancy. The process listed distributing applications to the library, Chamber of Commerce, and the Shelton School District Administration Office. Obviously, City of Shelton offices. It's a different day and age. We're doing things virtually, electronically a lot more now. So those are certainly what we're proposing is just distribute those, have them available at the Civic Center on the city's website, and then we utilize social media, press releases, and then the believe it's an ad. A display advertisement is what it says here, which we just utilized for council seat 6 that's been advertised lately. So continuing with that process for advertising, and then the voting, it was pretty short. A was all that was included in the process and procedure for voting that would take place to fill an open and vacant council member seat. So added some language about the nomination process. Any deliberations that would be included, polling of the council members if they're prepared to vote. The vote occurs, the council city clerk records the votes. Selection is made at that point by a majority vote of the 6 members of council. If you don't reach that majority vote, council may postpone elections to a later date. Mayor declares nominee receiving the majority of the vote. The new council member be sworn in immediately after the effective date of the resignation. The term, again, outlines the term a little better to fill a vacancy in effect until the person is elected the next regular election for municipal officers. And that's an RCW that we have to follow. And that if we do not, council does not appoint within 90 days, per RCW, the county commissioners will appoint a person to fill the vacancy. So that is the breadth of the suggested edits that I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Anyone have public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to.
Mr. Mayor, if you, we'll hold off until I get through the strategic plan. I kind of lumped all these into one discussion, if you don't mind.
Nope.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So if you don't have anything on that, I will get out of share. So the 2022 through 2025 council strategic goals, again, we reviewed those in the March 25th retreat. Council affirmed that the mission, vision, values, and the goals would remain the same through the 2025 period. The one change or edit that we're proposing this evening is to a DEI statement, diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. The proposed edit there is the city of Shelton is a community where diversity is welcomed, valued, and celebrated. We advocate for recognition, respect, inclusion, and celebration of the community's diverse people. We have been, I think, we've realized that the city has been at a disadvantage because the statement wasn't in place due to some federal funding that we applied for, particularly through the recompete grant. This is a priority of the state. It has been a priority of administration prior to my appointment here. And we're really trying to get this program back off the ground and recognize, the individuals in our community, the individuals that are working here, the recruitment potential, staff and the opportunity to retain staff, here. This is kind of a start to, staff and leadership kicking off, a program and really planning a more, robust, DEI effort, with, internally, and certainly sharing that with council as we move forward. So that's the only proposed change tonight. And the last thing I have on this, in this briefing is is policy and procedure 100-10, which is the council agenda and briefings report, which is formerly 3-touch rule. Again, it outlines, the consent agenda, topics that I mentioned before, the approval of council meeting minutes, acceptance of advisory board or commission minutes, treasurer's reports, approval of vouchers, setting dates for public hearings, meetings, acknowledging receipt of claims for damages against the city, passage of resolutions and or ordinance, which the council has given directions to place on the consent agenda, final acceptance of public works projects as complete, procurement of equipment, supplies, and materials authorized in the annual budget, and grant acceptance that the council has previously authorized by application. That's the last document in this briefing.
Okay, Donna, anyone have a comment?
No, Mr.
All
Mayor.
right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to place council protocol manual policy 100-10 and 2022-25. Council's future goals as presented on the May 21st council action agenda.
All right, comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to place the council protocol manual policy 100-10 and 2022-2025 council strategic goals presented on May 21st city council action agenda for further consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And item number 4 under business has been canceled, which was a historical society application.
Use agreement.
Or lease agreement. All right. And one more from Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Tonight I'm bringing to you, a draft of the C Street landfill environmental covenant. This covenant is, required by the Department of Ecology after the C Street landfill, project is closed out. This basically, details what can and can't be done on that property after the cleanup. We have recently accepted the project. There's still some closeout to do on this project, but it's about 6 acres of former landfill across C Street, across on the west side of 101. The city's been working on this for some time now. It wasn't a properly closed out landfill from several decades ago, so it kind of lingered and had to be closed out officially. The city received almost $3.5 million in grant funds to complete this project for State Department of Ecology. We had a number of staff and staff hours working on this for the last couple of years. We're pleased that we've been able to bring this to this point to fruition and kind of get it off our proverbial plates, if you will. While we're working on the project, we found that the extent of that landfill went across property lines onto adjacent property owners, so that had to be moved off of their property back on the city property as well. So the refuse and the garbage that's been in the ground for a number of years had to be moved, consolidated, capped with a semi-impermeable surface, and then fenced and kept off, kept from being accessed essentially from the general public. We have to monitor that for a period of time with monitoring wells and monitor groundwater as it moves in and out of the site. So it doesn't completely go away. We still have to monitor it as part of the requirements from the Department of Ecology. But this covenant basically outlines what we can and can't do with that property. It takes ecology authorization before we propose anything there. The one thing we did negotiate with Ecology is they initially proposed that the entire 14-acre site would fall within this covenant. Well, about 6 acres of this site are the actual landfill, so we negotiated with them that the covenant would only apply to those 6 acres, so the remaining 8 acres or so would be available for use as long as it met all city, state, and federal codes. So the idea is that the landfill site basically stays as it is. There could be some uses down the road if it's not penetrated, you're not digging foundations or penetrating into the soils there, but obviously as that garbage decomposes, you have some settling, so it's probably not a stable base to build on. So there's a couple pictures in your packet that show the before and after and the extent of the project.
Can you show those pictures on screen, or is that technology? That's
Oh, boy.
gonna-
Yeah. Now you're pushing the envelope.
Just for-
Absolutely. Mike, I think I got it. Yeah. Hang on, don't jump into action yet.
He gets his graduation certificate.
I'm a junior IT person. Maybe. So this is part of the project, and Public Works Director Harris has a little more information if you want to get into too many details, but this is the landfill portion. You can see the extent of the dirt work being done. You can see my clicker doesn't work, but down in the bottom left, oh yeah, right here, bottom left-hand corner, you see the extent of the depth of excavation there and the different, kind of strata that you have. A lot of it wasn't, a lot of it didn't look like garbage, it just looked like some muck, if for lack of a better term, kind of down there, but it was all determined. Obviously be garbage. And then this is the site afterwards. So it's been hydroseeded where it's been, obviously the dirt has been moved, denuded, and the area of the landfill is fenced off.
There's grass now. We've mowed it a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, for a new picture.
We send our drone up there and get a picture. Live feed.
So hopefully that gives you a little better view of the extent of the project, and we certainly, much like the treatment plant, be happy to take council out and show you the site at some point. It's doesn't look like much now, but during the project, they were digging 30. I don't know, that road was 60 feet.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're digging down below this 60-foot high road that Miles Sounds Road.
Construction gets an A+. What they put up with out there with their equipment, men and mud, and you look down there, it's like, you're all the way down there, sort of thing, and it's unreal that it turned out looking that good, because that picture was sort of the worst of the worst.
That's all I have for tonight. on
Right.
that topic. Thank you.
Donna, anyone have public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
And do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to put, number 1330-0424 to the action agenda on May 21.
Yeah.
Council meeting.
All right, comments or questions? Well, some people probably forgot, I've been hearing about the C Street landfill for about 10 years now, sitting out there for probably for the last 6 years.
Mr. Mayor, I think there's a second by Councilmember Blush, correct?
Yeah. I heard a second.
Councilmember Blush.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, I've been hearing about it about 10 years. About 4 years back there and about 6 years here, and it's actually been a problem since the 80s, I believe, when the college started bothering the city about it, and bothering, perhaps the right word, but leaning on us, and it was ignored for many years by multiple commissions, and finally the commission got serious about it, went out, got some grants, and I believe this was probably 100% grant funded or darn close.
Not quite, but yeah.
It's darn close, to clean this garbage up and cap it, and it'll just be like that for the rest of our lives. I mean, just a fence around some grass, that's about it, but it was just garbage. I mean, there was not really much contamination. There was a lot of concerns years ago about what was down there. Batteries and refrigerators, compressors, but it was just really garbage.
Some car bumpers, and things like that, that live the test of time, but yeah.
And for the most part, it's just garbage, and I'm really glad that we got this done, capped off, and it's one more thing on the list. I think there's one more site here in town that we need to harass the property owner about cleaning up. We have a little Goose Lake, and it's owned by ITT Rainier, and for some reason, they've not been bothered as much as we were for landfill, because they've had a contaminated property for 50 years, maybe even 100 years, and they're not cleaning their stuff up. So I think that we should probably, somebody should send a letter to somebody and get them to clean their lake up, so we can actually develop around it. And oh, sorry, any other comments? Right. All right. We have a motion and a second to place resolution number 1330-0424 on the 21st action agenda for the consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our only action item is a resolution to purchase a police vehicle. Finance Director Mike Giddens has details for us.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm bringing you procurement of a police vehicle. This was authorized in the 2024 budget. It comes in within budget. There have been no changes since the presentation on the business item 2 weeks ago.
Thank you, Mike. You're the easiest one tonight. All right. Does anyone have a public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
And may we read the resolution number 1317-0224.
Resolution number 1317-0224. A resolution of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to sign a purchase order for the acquisition of a 2024 Ford Interceptor SUV all-wheel drive patrol vehicle to support police operations.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 1317-0224, the police department vehicle purchase as presented.
All right. Comments or questions? We have a motion to place resolution number 1317-0224 on the council May 7, 2024 action agenda for further consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mark, city manager report.
Couple things for you tonight, Mr. Mayor. It's special event season right around the corner. We're the clerk's office is facilitating special events. The farmers market kicked off this last Saturday, although a bit wet. Obviously, we had some Cinco de Mayo events downtown. We're looking forward to Forest Festival coming up here in a couple weeks, and as always, the city provides a float, if you will. Sometimes it's a dump truck, but available for the council to ride in throughout the parade. So if that's of interest to you, the deadline is quickly approaching to get an application into the Forest Festival Committee for that float. So if you would get back to me with interest in that, we'll certainly facilitate that. Get our crew on decorating such float, if you will. We had our first community cleanup event last Saturday up at Caroline Park, again, fairly wet. I believe they had 38 individuals or groups or deliveries from the community up there. About 3 dump truck loads were taken off site. Again, fairly wet. We were hoping for more, but it's nice to get 3 10-yard dump truck loads off of properties in the community and out to the landfill. The next dump day is this Saturday, 9 to 3. It'll be located adjacent to Olympic Outfitters at Cascade and Summit. So we'll have a crew up there with dump trucks again and taking residents approved garbage off of their sites again. But they'll take tires or appliances, air conditioners, yeah. And then tomorrow night is the second edition of the Empty Bowls event. First night was last Wednesday. I think Jordan told me there was about 250 bowls made out here. It was a busy event, lots of people having a good time, lots of kids with really dirty hands, full of clay. So, really cool, seeing everybody involved in that. And look forward to everybody being in here, and instead of clay on their hands, will have paint or glaze on their hands from the bowls. When they are participating this week, and then a week from tomorrow will be the culmination, where there's a lot of great restaurants that have donated soup for the culmination of the event. And a donation to the Saints Pantry Food Bank gets the bowl and the soup and a good time. So appreciate everybody participating in that event. And that is all I have for you tonight.
All right, anyone have any comments or questions? Oh, okay, at this time, members of the public are invited to make public comment on any city-related topic that was not listed on the agenda tonight. Donna, anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. Our first speaker is Emily Ruth.
Hey there, guys. I was here last year, if you all remember. I came in here to talk about how Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Resources bought the house next to mine. It's less than 15 feet away from my house. I had a lot of questions, and so did my neighbors. And seems like it got skirted. I didn't hear anything back from anybody. Recently, the only thing that I've heard back is that there's a municipal code that says that they're not required to notify the neighbors if it's 2 or less people living near that house. That's the only information I've got. There's so many more questions. I think that that's unfair. So I'd like to, challenge the municipal code and some instruction on how to do that, since I'm required to. I also have a question about when that code was implemented or put on the books, because when I originally asked, there wasn't any information about it until recently. And then when I looked online and I look at the date on that code, it says February 2024. So was that just put in place, or? I don't know. So anyways, my neighbors and I would like to, have an injunction put in place to stop this from proceeding. We'd also like to have a town hall meeting where we have no informed discussion and discuss all of our concerns instead of chasing people around.
We'll get questions answered to you.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, stick around after the meeting. Good, thank you.
Our next comment is from Dana Anderson.
I'm the neighbor on the other side, and I've been there 31 years. 33. And we were just very concerned about them putting sex offenders or what. Not a single woman in that area. And so I'm complaining about that. We have been here before, and no one ever got back with us. I also complained about speeders on our street. And we did put a light, and then nothing was ever done with these speed bumps. And I called the police and reported Robin Kerman at 1112 South Dakota. And she's a known meth dealer. I have a 70-year-old addicted brother that my neighbor and I have both seen go to this house when they get their Social Security. That there's a lot of old addicts that pull up at the beginning of the month. It's like come and go constantly in the alleys. And there's just a lot of garbage at this address. And one more thing, the rainwater on the 1200 block, there's a slight lip on the road. And so all the stormwater goes off and goes where it's supposed to. On the 1100 block, it just comes off the road and into our yards. So I would also, in my dream book, ask for a lip on our pavement in front of our house. So I would really like someone getting that.
Thank you. I apologize if somebody got back to you guys a year ago. Somebody will definitely get back to you now with some answers for your stuff.
I'll follow
I did call and report there's all this cars sticking out in the street. And when somebody's coming up from the trailer park, there's not enough room for both of us to go by. So you have to stop, and so I did report this Friday, the truck is broken down, truck is still sticking out. So another neighbor, Denise Graves, did call, saying people done some kind of wrong gravel in the alley that she's almost falling down on, so somebody's supposed to get back from that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next comment is from Jaden Evans.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jaden Evans. I'm the housing lead advocate at Turning Point Survivor Advocacy Center and a member of the Homeless Task Force. I have a total of 5 years working for Turning Point and 2 years working for Community Action Council as a housing case manager. I say this to explain my background in working with homeless individuals in Mason County, which is a total of 7 years that I have worked with these individuals and the obstacles they face when it comes to housing. Part of my job as a housing lead advocate is to help clients find safe, permanent housing following their 90-day stay at Turning Point shelter. Some of the obstacles for housing use survivors are the lack of available units and affordability of the units that are available. To give an example, a studio apartment that is 300 square feet is going for $1,225 currently. To meet this criteria, you have to make at least 2 times the amount of rent to qualify for that unit. That means you must bring in at least $2,450 a month to qualify to live in a 300 square foot apartment. That's just for our single survivors or moms that have 1 child that could work for. Our survivors with more children, meaning they need more bedrooms, the numbers are even higher. For a mom with 2 boys and 2 girls, she would need a 3-bedroom unit. The average amount for a 3-bedroom in Mason County is going for $2,633. This means a survivor with 4 children would need to make at least $5,266 a month to qualify for a 3-bedroom unit, and that's just to qualify for the income portion. There's also the credit score, criminal background, and rental reference aspect these homeless survivors must try to meet. To say I must get creative to help these survivors get stably housed is an understatement. I depend on partnerships with other organizations like the Bremerton Housing Authority, who Turning Point recently went into an MOU with, which gives us access to housing vouchers for survivors. This is very exciting. However, these vouchers go off the fair market rent, or FMR, for Mason County. For a studio, like I talked about earlier, the FMR in Mason County is $866 when they're really going for $1,255. For a 3-bedroom, FMR in Mason County is $1,801 when they're really going for $2,633. As you can see, these numbers do not match, causing extreme difficulty for survivors I'm working with to get housed. Mason County desperately needs more affordable housing. Due to all these obstacles, in the month of April, 17 survivors exited our shelter, and out of those 17, only 5 went into safe permanent housing. That means that 12 survivors went back to unsafe situations due to the lack of housing. That number is far too high for me, and I'm very passionate about seeing these numbers change. I appreciate your time and thank you for listening to me.
Yes. Our next speaker is Dean Jewett.
Good evening, lifelong Mason County member. I want to give you the State of the Union address. We have a pickup truck with a camper. It's been over a year in and out up by McDonald's. Nothing's been done. We have Mark and Henrietta that have their white 4-door older vehicle that hang at Safeway, the Park and Ride, and other numerous places. Wherever they go, it's a trail of garbage, just like Pigpen from the cartoon with Charlie Brown. Nothing's ever done. We got the gray and blue van that sits at Safeway that offloads its gray water into the storm system. We had 2 fires in the movie Alcove, the movie theater. Everybody loves our nice little movie theater that we used to be able to walk to. 2 fires in and on their ceramic steps and alcove, cardboard, everything else all around. It's pretty embarrassing. We have I ran into a new guy in town. We probably got 25 to 30 new people that came in. Almost got in a fist fight with him because he was pissing in our alley like he had drank 9 cups of coffee. It's not something that I really relish doing when I'm just trying to throw away garbage and clean up the alley. We got RVs, cars. We got the Beverly Hillbilly van that parks down by Community Lifeline. You can't even see the license plates on it. They've got signs on it selling soda and water. Those are just a handful of them. We got the VFW and we have Building 12. Those are an embarrassment for what happens. We have a chemical dependent veteran that goes down there to go to the VFW, and they run into the people on the steps and the defecation and the urination. It's unbelievable. My 3 hot button topic: enforce the no street camping. Never done it yet. I passed the no lay lie ordinance and enforce it. There are members of the community. There's members of community. The counselors, there are the community council people here, have to walk around with protective equipment on them, whether it's your Second Amendments, pepper spray, to feel safe walking in our environment. These aren't the neighborhoods. These are our city streets that we don't feel safe in. Let's do something about it. We have the shopping cart ordinance. We don't seem to be able to get a hold of that. Anybody knows what this magazine is here, The Fjord? There's a couple of great articles in there. There's one in here that talks about, respectfully remind the public servants that we are not blind to their negligence. So that means you are or are not doing your jobs. So look in the mirror when you go home and see if you are. If you are, great job, I appreciate it. If not, step it up or step out. Thank you.
All right, anyone else, Bonner?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have someone via Zoom, but I think maybe we need a motion to extend the meeting a little bit because we only got 10 minutes before 8 o'clock.
Can we get a motion, maybe,
Need to extend the meeting for 15 minutes.
the motion is second, extend the meeting for 15 minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Donna.
Yes, and our person on Zoom is Colleen Carmichael.
Good evening, Mayor Inesco and fellow citizens. My name is Colleen Carmichael, and I'm the Executive Director of Quixote Communities and a member of the Homeless Task Force. In honor of Mental Health Month, we want to share the following story. When interviewing a former resident of our Olympia village, Michael told us some of his history and what led him to live on the streets. Several life-changing, work-related events caused him chronic pain. He used substances to ease his suffering. He lost his job and eventually his housing. He felt a deep sense of failure at having to move around to multiple shelters. Depression can occur at any moment during our lifetime. Sometimes it's biological, often it's the result of an unexpected event or experience. In 2023, the Mental Health of America reported that there are 21 million adults suffering with depression. That same year, the number of patients for every one provider was 504 to 1. When you try to seek help, or you're part of the 25% of people who couldn't get help, you may begin to feel like you don't matter and no one cares. This can lead some people to self-medicate in an attempt to relieve their pain. If you lose your job, experience a divorce, or suffer from a serious medical issue, and you do not have the support of family or friends around you, just like Michael, you could lose hope and your sense of self-worth. When Michael learned of Quixote Communities in 2014, he took a step towards a brighter future and moved in. He lived with us for several years before he graduated to his own apartment. He shared the following: I felt lucky. I don't know what life would have been like without the village. The structure and encouragement to work on myself and to learn and grow made the difference. Working with the case managers helped me to prepare to be confident and to learn how to advocate for myself. I was able to move into independent living. At any point in time, any one of us could find ourselves feeling lost, ashamed, and unable to be housed. It doesn't help when the community expresses their anger and disgust as people like Michael struggle to find a way out. The providers of this town know there's a better way. We can make lasting change by using compassion, understanding, and collaboration. We can create opportunities that change the narrative, remove the stigmas and shame, and create hope. The teams that provide homeless support in and around Shelton understand the value of each person. We hope our shared vision and actions will create a better quality of life for all, and most importantly, for the people who have lost hope. Please support our efforts to house and provide services to those in need. Thank you.
That's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
Does the council have any new items for discussion tonight? I just like to say, I walk every day. I walk uptown and downtown from one to another sometimes, and walk around downtown. I never felt safe. I love our town. We have a beautiful town. Does it have issues? We have some small problems that we have to deal with. Absolutely. We have some laws we have to abide by. Absolutely. But I've never felt safe in town. I walk every day. We, the city manager, myself, and Senator Jay walked to the park the other day, and you know, we had no problem. We walked down the street, came back on the street, we put them in the lifeline. You know, you know, I think I love our town, and I really get tired of hearing people just complain. Yes, we have problems that other cities have. We are dealing with them. We have a great police force. We have a great ECR that we've invested in. You know, we have. Our downtown has more businesses today than it had 10 years ago. You know, and they are doing well. We have great restaurants down there doing well now. I just wish that, you know, that we could all work together to solve some of these problems we have. Yes, we have some homeless people in town. Absolutely. We also have court rulings that say if there's no beds for them, they can sleep downtown. You know, there's been issues with drug possession. That has now been changed recently, so now we can start holding some people down for drugs. We still have jail issues here in Mason County, where we can't book certain people. City can't book felonies in Nisqually, where we have a contract. We have to go to Mason County Jail. And people are walking. And we also now have something coming up with the courts, where the Bar Association has raised or lowered the case count for public defenders, which is going to mean that we're going to even have less people prosecuted for crime because there's no public defenders to hire. Even if the county had money to hire 20 public defenders and the city had money to hire 4 or 5, you know, they're not out there. People aren't going to school to be lawyers. We have a lot of issues that we have to work on together as a team, and not just whine and complain and bitch that somebody else isn't doing their job. People here work hard. Everybody.
People are getting, you know.
No,
irritated
you
about the
had your
negative
3
behavior.
minutes. You had your 3 minutes.
Point of order.
You had your 3 minutes.
We get 3 minutes, you get 30.
I'm not gonna hit 3. I'm just saying, let's work together and solve some of these problems.
Then have a town hall meeting.
That's over here. That's over here. I'm in the public, I work in the public all the time. I have plenty of opinion about what.
Okay, you guys had your 3 minutes. Let me finish mine. So let's work together. Let's solve some of these problems. Let's work on some housing issues that we need to work on. Let's work on some drug issues we need to work on. Let's work with the prosecutors. Let's work with the nonprofits. Let's see if we can figure some of these problems out. Instead of just complaining that somebody's not doing something, we're all doing something. I guarantee you that we're all doing something. Constantly, we're doing something. We're all on multiple boards and committees. We're hearing from the public. We're hearing from the nonprofits. We're, you know, on boards that fund these nonprofits. You know, I just get tired of hearing somebody bitch and moan and groan. Let's work together. If we can't work together, then, you know, but that's my say. I apologize. So, anything else? This meeting is adjourned at 8:04 p.m.